Shalom Akim Shalom. Before I begin this lesson, I want to start off by giving all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rachakwarash, and double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who teach and rule well. And Shalom to the hopeful elect scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. Shalom, Shalom. All right, so today I want to go into, the definition or the true meaning of reincarnation, and just kind of go into it and how we teach it according to the scriptures versus, how the world teaches it, or how, other false religions teach it, false idols, because people worship these different false idols. You could think about these Hindu gods and, all these different idols from these different cultures and nations. Okay. But without any further ado, we're going to jump right into it. This is the word reincarnation in the etymology. Okay. This is the noun. It says from 1829, fact of repeated incarnation. Okay, so let's get the word incarnation. Okay, because the word re means again, right? Incarnation means a person who embodies in the flesh a deity, spirit, or abstract quality. Okay, so we're dealing with spirits. So a person who embodies in the flesh a spirit. Okay, and then here it says fact of repeated incarnation, right? So a person who embodies in the flesh a spirit again. Okay, so it basically means back in the flesh. Okay, so for example, one way that reincarnation happens, where you can see this with your own two eyes, is let's take for example, you got a loved one, they're in the hospital for, they just had heart failure and they're pronounced dead. Okay, and a few minutes go by and they come back to life, through means of a miracle or what have you. And then, that right there is an example of reincarnation, because their spirit left their body and came back. Okay, so it doesn't necessarily mean, when you die, that your spirit gets reincarnated into another flesh body, because it could also be the same body, right? So if my spirit leaves me right now and I fall on the floor and then, my spirit comes back, that's reincarnation, you see? Like, let's look at the rest of this. It says 1829, fact of repeated incarnation, state of being embodied anew, from re, back, again, incarnation, right? Which the word carnation, carnate, incarnate, carnal, right? The word carnal goes into flesh. Okay. Again, incarnate, meaning a new embodiment, is from 1854. Okay. Re means again, right? Incarnation, it says embodiment of God in the person of Mashiach, which, this is something else. Let's skip down a bit. Act of being made flesh, carnis, flesh, right? Caro, flesh, a piece of flesh, right? That's where you get incarnate, in the flesh, right? So, yeah, back in the flesh, okay? Because you left that flesh and you came back, right? Whether it be you died and the Lord reincarnated you, like you came back as a baby. Let's say you die, but you come back as your grandson or your great-grandson, right? Which is the way we teach it according to the scriptures. You come back through the seed line of your father, right? So if you're an Israelite, a so-called Negro, Latino, Native American Indian, right? You're going to come back as a so-called Negro, Latino, Native American Indian. You're not going to come back as a so-called Chinese or a so-called white man or anything else for that matter, okay? So that's why we have this depiction here. Okay, this is all the same man, right? Different past lives he had, right? Just an example that you can see with your eyes. Okay, so we're going to go into the scriptures real quick. We're going to go to Exodus chapter 20. And we're going to go down to verse 4. We're going to start at verse 4. It says, this is one of the commandments, right? This is the second commandment. It says, Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. So the Lord is saying, don't make any idols, man. Okay, don't make, because Israel was going off. You can remember when we were in the wilderness, we made that golden calf. Okay, and as Israelites throughout the ages, we have worshipped multiple different gods, and it pissed the Lord off. Okay, that's where all this sin begins, is with these idols, man. Because these idols have their own doctrines and their own. You start following this idol, and you start making these different rules and living these different ways, instead of living according to the ways of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. And so the Lord punished our people with slavery, right? Poverty, all right? All type of things, pestilence, and a lot of death, okay? The Lord punished our people for our sins, man, okay? Now, this answers the question that a lot of people will have that are new to the truth. They'll say, well, why would the Lord punish us today for what our fathers did in the past? It doesn't make sense. Why would you punish a kid for what his dad did if his dad did it and he died long ago, right? Just like these so-called white people out here, they talk about, oh, well, I didn't do slavery. I didn't have a part of it. I don't agree with it. So why should we give you reparations? And we always, I always say, hey, look, man, your great-granddaddy had a slave plantation, all right? And that's why you are at an Ivy League school, and, you got your generational wealth. You got an inheritance. You live in a nice neighborhood. Okay, so if you don't agree with what your father did, give me all your money and go live in the hood and start from scratch. You see, but you're not gonna do it because you agree with them, man. You can't have the gift, Salaki. You can't have these riches that your grandfathers got through blood and keep them and say you disagree with them. Right? Because, yeah, of course you're not going to enslave me now, because this shit has been made illegal, right? So-called. All right? But you already have your wealth. You don't have to enslave me right now, see? But if we go back in time, chances are you would do the same thing your grandfathers did. You so-called white people alive today. You Edomites, man. Okay? Because you are your fathers, man. And that's what reincarnation goes into, man. So I'm going to read this, and we're going to go to the next verse. And it's going to make sense. It's Exodus 20 and verse 4. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Verse 5. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, right, these idols, nor serve them, for I, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, thy power, am a jealous power, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. You see? So what this is saying is, you come back every third and fourth generation to suffer for the sins of yourself, basically. Okay, so let's say, we go back in time and see that the Israelites, they were worshiping different idols. They might have been good. They had their wealth. We had the nation of Israel. We were good. We had wealth. We had women. We had cattle. We had gold. We had land. But we were worshiping idols, and then we died. And we, one would see that and be like, well, they died and nothing bad happened to them. But then he gets reincarnated, okay, 3 generations down the road in slavery. And then people will feel bad. Be like, oh my God, that poor kid just grew up as a slave, that poor kid is a slave, and, he didn't do anything wrong. Well, yes, he did, man. Yes, he did, man. See, this is why you got to fear the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, because you can die and then get reincarnated, man. You could end up like a fucking Stephen Hawking type, all crippled up in a wheelchair, can't move nothing but your pinky. You see? There's no escaping the judgment of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. In this life, you may, but not in the life to come, man. You see? See, the Lord is cold, man. You see, the Lord will fuck you up. If you think you're gonna get away with it, man. And hey, we went off as a nation, and that's why we're in slavery to this day under Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. Right here we are, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, in what I like to call generational poverty. Okay, we're born into poverty with lack of connections in a system that's already systemically racist, and then you're all the way at the bottom and you got to climb your way up in a system where the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Okay, and in a way that's not even fair either, because it could be done fairly, but they don't, man. These Edomites, they use trickery, they schemes, they lies, they use deception. They use they say they give us a fair shot, but they really don't, man, because they hate us. It's that perpetual hatred that the scriptures talk about. Because going back to Esau, okay, all the way back, you had Jacob and Esau. All right. Esau said, the days of mourning for my father at hand, and then will I slay my brother Jacob. So he had that intention to kill his brother. And then, all the Edomites come from that man Esau. So they all have the same mindset as their forefather Esau. And then those same spirits keep coming back, man. It's the same spirits. The same spirits that went to war with our people back in the day, the same spirits who we had in captivity at one point, during the time of King David and King Solomon, right? Hey, those are the same spirits got us in captivity to this day. Them damn Edomites, man. All right? And this is biblical. This is what the Bible teaches. Okay? This is how reincarnation usually, when we talk about reincarnation, this is what we're talking about, okay? But technically, here's another form of reincarnation. We're going to go to, let's see. We're going to start here, Matthew 19 and verse 28. All right. Actually, we'll start at 27. The title says the disciples' reward, right? Matthew 19:27. Then answered Peter and said unto him, behold, we have forsaken all and followed thee. What shall we have therefore? Right? So Peter was talking to Yahushua, like, we dropped everything and we came and followed you. So, what type of reward will we get? And Yahushua said unto him, verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, right? Which regeneration is the same thing as reincarnation. Okay? That ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay? The reincarnation is when they come back in the flesh. But which flesh is it talking about? It's talking about those new bodies, man. Because we're going to be glorified, man. We're going to have these new, powerful, spiritual bodies, man. Right? Because these bodies we have, they're fucked up, man. All right? You got knee pain, back pain. You get sick. You eventually get old and die. All right? These bodies don't last forever. Okay? But the new bodies do. And we're going to get a precept to that. This is Philippians chapter 3 and 21. Who shall change our vile body, right? These shitty bodies we got now, that it may be fashioned like unto his glorious body, according to the working whereby he is able even to subdue all things unto himself. All right. So, when Yahushua returns, okay, which the 12 disciples are likely here today, when Yahushua returns, okay, they're going to get beamed up into the chariots, and their vile body is going to be changed into something like Yahushua's glorious body, man. That's reincarnation right there. Even if they look exactly the same, but, they could fly. Salaki, I keep pulling that one up. Like take this one, for example. Let's say, and these are so-called white-looking people, but we know that the apostles are so-called black men, right? But just for an example, you got this man here. He gets beamed up, and then he looks the same, but now he could fly. He could shoot laser beams out of his eyes. Okay, that's still reincarnation. You see, because he just came back in the flesh, all right? Same thing as if he has let's say, this guy, he dies, but he left children, and those children had children. Okay, let's see. This is his son here. This is his grandson. So then this will be him coming back. Okay, and of course you don't have remembrance of your past lives. Okay, but it's set up that way. Okay, but yeah, this guy's gonna have the same mindset as this guy. All right, he may be living in a different time period, but it's the same guy coming back. So how can this guy say, "Oh, I didn't do slavery"? Right? You did do it, and you're back here to enjoy the benefits of it. This is why Yahweh Hashem Shah is going to destroy these Edomites with a terrible destruction, man. All right, and put them in slavery. He's going to put them. We're going to put all of them in slavery. All these children going into slavery in the kingdom, man. All right. Let me see something real quick. Let's get this article real quick. This is Reincarnation in Wikipedia. Conceptual definitions. It says the word reincarnation derives from a Latin term that literally means entering the flesh against Salakia. The word reincarnation derives from a Latin term that literally means entering the flesh again. Right, back in the flesh, entering the flesh again, reincarnate, it's all the same thing. Reincarnation refers to the belief that an aspect of every human being or all living beings in some cultures continues to exist after death. Right, that's the typical meaning when people think of reincarnation, which is true. This is what we believe. However, the scriptures teach us in the book of Exodus, you come back through the seed line of your father. Okay, and then we know if you die without children, then your lineage should continue through your brother, right? Your brother's supposed to take your wife and, raise up seed for you, right? But, that's going into it more deep, So basically, yeah, man, you come back as the same race, and usually through the, if your grandfather had children, right, you come back as him, right? So you die, you come back as your grandchild or your great-grandchild, right? And you come back as the same sex, right? You don't come back as a fucking woman if you're a man, or a man if you were a woman. No, you come back as the same sex, and you come back as the same, if you're a human, you come back as a human, man. Okay, and I brought this up to show you that we do not teach reincarnation the way that these false religions do. Okay, like I said, the Hindus and all them, they teach that if you do good, you come back as a human, and you do bad, you come back as an animal, or if you're really bad, you come back as a plant, right? Some bullshit like that. This is false. And no, we did not get our idea of reincarnation from this. This is a falsehood. Okay? The only reason we teach it is because it's in the scriptures, man. Just like everything else we teach. Okay, this is not something that we pulled out of our ass. This is in the scriptures. And if you read the scriptures with this understanding, it makes a whole lot more sense what you're reading. Okay? A day with the Lord is 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is as a day. Okay? So, this book, it talks about things in a way that, the scriptures talk about things in a long-term perspective a lot of times. And it makes more sense when you understand that these same spirits that are here today, we've been here before many, 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 many times. Okay? Including Yahweh Shai, man. Okay? Which I made several videos on this before. Yahweh Shai is also Solomon. Solomon died and then came back as Yahweh Shai. Okay? And before Solomon, he was Isaac. Okay? Which, I've proven that already. All right? This video is not going into that. But we could just grab real quick, Matthew 1 and verse 1. It reads, the book of the generation. There's the word generation, which regeneration is the same as incarnation. All right, the book of the generation of Yahweh Shai Mashiach, the son of David, the son of Abraham. So right here, Yahweh Shai was the son of David. Who's David's son? Solomon. Right? Who's the son of Abraham? Isaac. Right? You remember Isaac was going to be sacrificed, right? That was a foreshadowing of the things to come. You see, because he was going to come back as Solomon and then eventually as Yahweh Shai to be what? Sacrificed on the cross for the nation of Israel, for the nation of Yasharallah. Okay? So yeah, man, that's the technical definition of reincarnation is back in the flesh, right? Whether you die on the operating table and come back in your same body, or if you die and then you come back through the seed line of your father, right? Those are the only two forms of reincarnation, all right? There's no this whole thing about animals getting reincarnated to animals or plants. That does not happen, okay? And that's a whole nother doctrine that has nothing to do with the Hebrew Israelites and the ultimately the 100% truth of the scriptures that we teach. Okay, so with that, I pray this lesson was edifying to the hopeful elect. I want to finish by giving all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachakorash, and double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. And shalom to the hopeful elect. Shalom wa, abba babal. Shalom.